For our first-year seminar project, we chose to do international students at Hartwick College. The main focus for the project was to determine if their degree of assimilation was dependent on who they chose to hang out with, along with the culture that they are from. In order to obtain results for our project, we did it in a variety of ways. To begin, we scheduled a meeting with Jennifer Chambers, the immigration specialist and director of global information. We spoke to her about the international students and how they get started in adapting to Hartwick, along with their application processes with all the differences from our own. The admissions office sends Professor Chambers the international students' applications that they receive. She proceeds by filling out the I-20 paperwork to send to Homeland Security so that the students can obtain a student visa to stay in the United States to receive their education here at Hartwick College. Professor Chambers acts as their mom away from home. She speaks to them before they arrive in the United States and answers any questions that they have. She also picks them up from the airport and treats them to a nice dinner. Professor Chambers also brings them to Walmart to get them anything that they may need for their dorm room, including sheets, lamps, food, and more. The students must arrive a few days prior to other students so that they can have their separate orientation. This includes an in-depth tour of the college, an immigration speech, a meeting explaining the American higher education system and how it works, and the American culture, including how it can differ from their own. After this, we did more field observations, which included people watching in the commons to see how they interact with each other and with American students, sitting in on a soccer team practice to see how they react with their teammates, going to a party, having dinner with some students, and more.
We then completed our individual interviews, recording the results so we could create focus group questions from these answers. In our interviews, we learned that most of the international students were recruited or Hartwick chose them. They didn't choose Hartwick. We found that some students came here not because they wanted to, more because the political situations back home were not good. The students we talked to about some of their struggles being away from home had to do with missing family and friends and food from their homes. Another hardship that the students face is the climate differences. Some students have to go out and buy warmer clothes because they did not bring any. A major struggle that we found with some of the international students is the language barrier. However, we learned that students from China found our culture to be much different rather than those who are from European countries. Although they have struggles and hardships, most students do not feel that they are outcast here at Hartwick College. The next step we took was finding articles off the Hartwick database that correspond with our project. The articles we found spoke about the stressors international students face because of the country they are from, which made a difference on how well they adapt to the United States. The articles discussed students' feelings of discrimination, culture shock to America, and transitioning from home to America. With the information found in these articles and the information we already obtained, we were able to form our focus group questions. For our focus group, we decided to do 2 separate interviews, one with athletes and one with non-athletes. We wanted to try and determine if being on a sports team offers a safety net when adapting to new culture versus having to meet people on their own.
We found that with non-athletes, it was a combination of their parents and their dream to come to America for higher education. We learned that non-athletes, who keep to themselves, really only socialize with other international students, and we also learned that Chinese international students found it harder to adapt because of their cultural difference. Depending on the culture the international students are from, they have it instilled in their minds that it's education first and is their number one priority because they want to make their parents proud. Overall, though, the non-athlete international students were happy with their decision to come here. For our second focus group, we met with 3 students who are members of the men's soccer team. All 3 men were recruited here to play soccer, and all of them hang out with only their teammates for the most part. One of the men agreed that if it were not for soccer, he would not have the friends he does, nor would he be as sociable as he is. The hardest struggle for the men was not being homesick, but being food sick, as they described it. 2 of the boys described themselves as outgoing and sociable, and the other described himself as shy and quiet. All 3 were happy with their choice to come here, and they liked the small environment.
In both focus groups, there are some common similarities between the international students. After speaking individually to some students, we are able to find the reasons that they chose Hartwick College was either that these students were recruited by sports teams or that Hartwick had chose them. All of the students agreed that there is better opportunity, lots of freedom here, and is a great experience. They all want to find jobs, however, their student visa restricts them from getting a job. At the beginning of our project, our goal was to learn about the journey of international students and what their reasoning behind choosing Hartwick was. We wanted to know exactly how they adapted and came to have the friends that they do. After all of our information was found and all of our interviews were completed, we were forced to change our hypothesis. We came to the conclusion that it is not the difference in culture that makes it the most difficult, it is the difference in personality traits that makes the difference. This project has proven that international students have the ability to successfully adapt to the American culture, but it all comes down to what they make of it.
Went from Mr. 305, Dade County, to Mr. Worldwide, all around the world. Now, we're international, so international, international, so international.